Bell rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Good morning, I'm Professor Code. This is the Forex Super Model daily briefing for Friday the 30th of the 7th, 2021. Time is just coming up to 0440, 20 to 5 in the morning GMT. Asian session coming to a close, European session firing up, our lunchtime North American session. Right, yesterday then, Thursday the 29th, we had an unopposed negative driver in the dollar at minus 144, so no backdoor flows, but the opposing positive flows were mainly going into the pound at plus 67, into the yen at plus 47, and the euro was the positive rock at plus 30, activity plus or minus 144. Intra-week then, this is the most relevant because it's from Monday the 26th open to about 15 minutes ago. We've got a negative unopposed driver in the dollar at minus 405. No backdoor flows, the opposing positive flow mainly going into the pound at plus 309, into the euro at plus 80, and the yen was the positive rock at plus 16, activity plus or minus 405. Right, so over the week then, and yesterday we've had an unopposed negative driver in the dollar, so to the exclusion of all else, flows have been sucking out the dollar and basically sucking in over the week into the pound, and yesterday a bit more evenly into the pound and the yen. Right, intraday then, this is the Asian session to about 15 minutes ago. We've got a joint situation here, but we've got a positive opposed dollar in the driver in the dollar at plus 9. We've got front and back door flows. We've got joint secondary negative mover and negative secondary driver at minus 6, and the yen is the positive rock at plus 3. So we wouldn't read too much into these. These are basically fairly static flows and on a very low activity level of plus or minus 12. Right, what's been knocking about? We're going to knock it about then. Right, so we've got German GDP today, Friday the 30th, Euro GDP, the 27 nation bloc group, and US Michigan consumer sentiment, which is a tier 2 event this week. And we've got a tier 3 we've had tier 3 AUD producer price index, which was positive. So although tier 3 data we don't pay too much attention to, it's showing that there's a little bit of a kick up the pants on the AUD. Right, so let's have a look at the flows and then the asset classes. Our trades improved yesterday. And they came back towards the end of yesterday, and they're sort of hanging in there now. We'll talk about that in a minute. So right, so and we've scaled up a fair bit into the bargain. Right, so the euro then. The euro is soft at the moment in the Asian session, except against the yen, the New Zealand dollar, and the Swiss, which is soft. The yen is soft, except against the Swiss. The pound is strong, except against the dollar, the CAD and the AUD. The Swiss is soft across the board. The CAD is strong, except against the dollar, which is stronger. The AUD is strong, except against the dollar and the CAD. The NZD is weak, except against the euro, the yen, and the Swiss. And the dollar is strong, except against the AUD. So what have we got? We've got full Swiss weakness. And we've got dollar strength apart from against the AUD, and CAD strength except against the dollar. So a little bit of a mixed picture there on the Asian flows. And as we said there, they're very tight, the Asian flows. So you get this sort of mixed picture. Anyway, let's have a look at the asset classes. We'll start as usual with the dollar index. Just get rid of this. Right, US dollar index. Basically what's been going on there, so it broke basically, and it's come back below that resistance. It's 0.35 from the high, so it's come back about a third in model terms. So the dollar was strong and it's now softened by about a third. Gold, as we know, should like a softer dollar, and it does to a certain extent, but it's still 0.37 from the high. So an oil had that break, it came back more or less to base camp, and it's now 0.28 from the high. Okay, Wall Street then. Basically it had this this treble top, which it broke, so you had there, and it's now roughly back at the treble top. So so it's pretty high, but it's come back a little bit. S&P, basically it broke, and it's the same story. It's come back really to its resistance, previous resistance high. And the tech has got a similar picture, although it's just slightly below its resistance high. So that's where equities are. US 10-year. Right, so this is the bond price. So we've had this break in price, the yields have come off, and then they came back a bit, and now they're starting to, the price is starting to go up, and it's 0.25 from the high. So it's about a quarter from the minimum yield on the US in model terms, but it's starting to creep up again in price, so yields are softening slightly. And the bund, which is the European equivalent, you've basically got this big break, and it's operating well above its previous resistance high. So European bond yields are pretty soft, and as are US 10-year. US 10-year just marginally stronger at the moment. Right, so copper. Copper had a long period of dirging, then it broke significantly, and it's now come back about 0.25 from the high, which is a quarter. And US steel also had a long period of dirging down, and it's now about half marks. And there's a bit of positivity from the infrastructure bill, and it's come up a little bit, but it still hasn't really started performing, US steel. But it is half marks now, so let's just get rid of this, and see if we can make some sense of the Friday flows and what have you. Right, so we're long euro dollar, pound dollar, pound Swiss, euro New Zealand, pound New Zealand, and AUD New Zealand. Right, so that's what we are. We added to the euro dollar positions yesterday. We added to euro New Zealand, and we also had a little go at adding to the pound Swiss. Right. So what have we got? In the majors, we've got the dollar, euro, yen, pound. Now last week, the flows. You had dollar strength as a secondary opposed driver, and the opposing negative flows mainly coming out of the yen. This week so far, we've got the dollar completely on the weak side. It's the negative, unopposed negative driver, and so you've had this big swing out of the dollar from last week. and the flows predominantly have been going into the pound, the GBP, if you look at yesterday, they're starting to get slightly more balanced now into the yen, and that shows you that they're putting the brakes on the equity transmission to a certain extent, and equities have like stalled at and then near their top. So that's something to think about. So, and the other thing is when you get a negative unopposed driver in the dollar, it's telling you one of two things. It's telling you it's either a top, a localized top, in which case, a floor in this case. So that we're getting near to the reversal point, or it's a continuation of a further fall in the dollar. Now given the situation that the dollar's been significantly ramped off, that we're likely to see that this is a short-term floor in the dollar, and you're likely to see a little bit of dollar strength today. That's what we're expecting. So you're likely to see a bit of weakness creeping into the euro, and a bit of strength in the yen, and a little bit of weakness in the pound. So you've got positive there, positive there. So you've got the yen and the dollar going a little bit positive, and then you've got the opposing side. You've got a little bit negative on the euro, and probably more negative on the pound, because they like to rub it in a bit more. It's the most volatile complex anyway. You can have a look at. We've mapped out the volatility of FX pairs and complexes. How volatile is my FX pair? There's a video on that if you need it. Anyway, so that's where we are. And what about the NZD? Is likely to. It's been coming back. The NZD. The NZD is likely to come off, and therefore you're likely to see AUD NZD improve. Albeit by the back door. So it's going to be a watch and see a little bit. There's a bit of data out to knock it around with the noise, but that's what we're expecting. We're expecting a little bit of a short-term floor in the dollar. So the dollar may well just come up a bit, and if they profit take before the weekend, that will move things along as well. So hope that was useful. Thank you for watching. See you over the weekend for the data and flow review. If not, see you Monday. Thank you.